Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Caking at Midnight. The 4th of July is just around the corner, so I really wanted to do a 4th of July themed cake. But I've always really liked the Faultline cake too. That's a new trend that's going around. So we're gonna combine the two tonight with a 4th of July Faultline cake. And when you cut into the cake, it will also have a little extra special design inside as well. So let's get started. All right, so to get started, I have already baked 4 different 8-inch rounds. 3 of them are red, 1 is blue, and I'm going to be leveling them out so there are 6 different layers of red and then your blue on the outside for where the stars would go. You can bake your cakes and have red and white cakes as you tier them up for the stripes of the flag, but I really like buttercream. So I'm going to use the red cakes, and then for the white on the stripe for the flag will be buttercream. And then we'll have our blue around the outside. So when you cut into this cake, it will look like the American flag. Okay, so I have my Wilton cake leveler and I have set it on number 1. So all of my levels will be the same height. And I'll just go ahead and get started cutting these. Each of the layers that I've cut for the inside of the cake, I have chilled in the freezer a little bit. Makes them a little bit easier to work with. So we're gonna start stacking. And like I said, I like buttercream, so the white buttercream is going to be the white parts of the flag. We have stacked some of the cake. There's 4 layers here. The next 2 I have to cut a circle in the middle of the blue and the 2 reds so we can still have the stripes go up through the top so it still looks like a flag, because on the top you'll have obviously just the blue. So I don't have a cutter that's quite that big, so I'm gonna use one of my pans and then mark it and cut straight down for each of them. Now that the center's cut out of that one, I'm gonna stick him back in the freezer for just a second. A lot easier to work with a chilled cake than it is one that's at room temperature, especially when it's really humid outside. All right, now we can put the blue on here and start stacking the red through the center. Now that we're working with a piece of cut cake, when you put the icing in the circle, it might be a little crummy. So just be patient with it all as you put a layer of buttercream in there, and then we'll stack the reds inside. It doesn't have to be a lot of buttercream. Now we're gonna just do a really thin layer of a crumb coat, because on the sides I'm gonna do red so we can make some stripes for the decoration of the fault line. So what we wanna do next is just make sure we have a very thin layer of white. On something this tall, I want to make sure that it is level all the way around. So I always have my trusty little level. There's no metal pieces on it or magnets to attract anything. So it's just a plastic level, food safe. But when I stick it on top with my Viva, we're good that way, and we're pretty good that way too. So as long as our sides look good, I think we are ready to stick it in the fridge to get it chilled, and then we will go ahead and start adding our stripes for the fault line. Now that our cake is chilled and has been in the fridge for about 20 minutes or so, we can now start applying the red buttercream, and I have these cool little toys from the Sweet Tooth Fairy. This is what's going to give us our stripes on the Faultline cake. So we'll just drag this around once we get all the red on, and then we'll fill in the holes with white buttercream, and then we can start on the blue buttercream. So let's get the red buttercream on there so we can use our fancy tool. Now that we have the buttercream on here, we're just going to take our flat-edged scraper, also from the Sweet Tooth Fairy, to get a flat edge, and then we will use our combed one. Now that we have all of the red on there, we're going to take our scraper with the bigger indentations and slowly drag it around so we're taking off the excess in each one of these spots. Remember, this is going to be a Faultline cake, so the top and the bottom of the cake will not be seen. It's going to be covered in blue buttercream. So we're mainly concerned with the 2 or 3 stripes around the middle of the cake. I'm going to make sure they're perfect. But to make sure everything's filled in, I will fill in each indentation with the white buttercream. So the more that you go around it and scrape it, it's going to slowly smooth it out. It's going to look a lot better, but don't get discouraged. Just keep going around. It will get better as you go. Alright, so each one is filled in. Now you want to take your flat scraper. This one from the Sweet Tooth Fairy has kind of a rough edge on it, so I'm going to try and use my smaller scraper to get this because I don't want it to have those lines in there, so I'm going to have to try and file it down. So I don't want to use that one right now, so I'll try and use this one. It definitely has a smoother edge on it, so it gets us to just about to where we need. So you're going to slowly drag this around, and it's going to look messy, but it's slowly going to get better. Alright, the cake is out of the fridge again. If you haven't caught on, if we didn't have a fridge, this would be really, really difficult because the fridge gets everything in place and sets it so you can add more layers and make it a little more easy to work with. So as you can see, we can touch it. It's all set. We have the blue buttercream now. We can add to the top and the bottoms of this. And again, with the Faultline cake, in the middle where your edge is going to be, it doesn't have to be any type of perfect. So just glop it on the top and the bottom, and then we'll smooth it all out again with our cake scraper, and then we can add the finishing touches to the top. There is so much buttercream on this cake. But I did say at the beginning I did like buttercream. Blue is on the top, blue is on the bottom, cake scraper, and I'm all set to go to try and level some of this out. Now that we have a good crust on the buttercream, we can add the gold to the edges of the Faultline and make a real pretty edge on each side of the blue. So I have some gold luster dust in a container, a little bit of food grade alcohol in there. I'm just gonna paint on the edges. Okay, so I finished the gold edge on each side of the blue buttercream, and now I'm gonna make some dollops on the top, and then we can add the sprinkles and we should be all done. Okay, we have all the dollops on top of the buttercream. The sides are finished, then the only other thing we have to do is add our red, white, and blue sprinkles, and we should be all set. All right, we were all finished with our 4th of July Faultline cake. Like I said earlier, I've always wanted to try a 4th of July cake, and with the newest trend of the Faultline cake, this seemed like the perfect opportunity. If you do like what you see or have any questions, comments, all those good things, leave them in the comment section below. I will answer any questions that you do have. And don't forget, when we cut into this, there is a surprise in the middle because it will also look like a flag. So stick around for the end and we will cut into it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, hit the notifications, you know the drill. I hope you've enjoyed. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. Happy caking.